Bam! It is Friday night, man, and it is SPD and Booking by Bonds here on Rampage Rundown. Holding fort down here at Dynamite Download with our show is back. I mean, we had last week was off, and things have been changing on AEW television. And Road to the Top now debuted in our Dynamite Download coveted spot post Dynamite. But we are here, Bonds, SPD. Cheers to the weekend, everyone.
Cheers,
hope you guys enjoyed that night on Rampage as we did. But right away, I mean, we're gonna dive into the main event because fresh off the heels of that as well. I know for speaking with someone with long hair, I would be very upset if my locks that this is the longest I've ever had it got cut off. And man, they were having a good time, Negative Orange out there. We had Orange Cassidy kind of sweeping up, being the barbershop boy. But before we talk about what happened, losing the hair versus hair match, what did you think overall of this match, Bonds?
I thought it was a lot of fun, and you can tell they're having a lot of fun. Jack Evans, man, he can sell his tail off.
That's one of the notes I wrote down, too. I was like, man, is he good at selling?
Oh, it was fantastic, the whole match. And then, the shenanigans were coming. I was wondering, oh, man, what's going to happen at the end? And then it ended up not really amounting to anything, which is kind of nice. We got to see a pretty Clean match. Matt Hardy got a little bit involved during the match, but it was relatively clean and for HFO stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And poor Jack Evans at the end of the show, they ran out of time to shave his whole head, but he got most of it. He had that nice Festus skullet going now. Hopefully they keep that because it's a good look. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I'm all for if he does the bull mullet right there. I mean, it would be kind of funny, kind of lean into what happened with the match.
Yeah.
If you have Evans show up on Dynamite or Rampage or even any of Dark or anything with that bald mullet, it would be hilarious. And Hardy can kind of slap him around or do something about that. But beforehand, I loved what Orange Cassidy was doing in the promo, the Mark Henry promo, and he's like, "What?"
No selling the whole thing. That's great.
It's very great stuff. I gotta hold on, dialing something in real quick. Wait. Oh, look
who's
who
that?
It's Crayfish.
We have a surprise guest, everybody.
Surprise guest. Crayfish's Corner.
Guys, I could not resist the urge to join you guys. I was watching the show, and man, I don't know about you guys. I felt like this episode of Rampage Rundown, or this episode of Rampage Rundown, episode 5, is going to be a really exciting one because it had some awesome matches from top to bottom. I mean, this was, to me, I can't wait to just sit back and hear you two guys chat about it. Don't mind me. Did you guys cover that opener yet?
No, we're saving that for last.
Oh man, because I want to hear SPD's reaction to Nick Jackson versus Bryan Danielson. My God.
Well, we want to hear we're talking Jack Evans OC with the hair versus hair from the hair guy of the group. And to the bald guys of the group.
Jack, trust me, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, easier maintenance for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I got made fun of for how expensive haircuts can be if you're a bald guy. If you go get a straight razor shave, SPD, and honestly, for you could go weeks without a haircut, months.
Nobody would notice.
Guy like me, I can't go 4 days and people notice. Hey, man, you need a haircut. You got to keep it tight.
It's been almost a year and a half since I got a trim, brother.
Yeah, lucky guy. So you're saving a lot of money haircuts. Well, Jack Evans got a free haircut tonight. What a lucky guy.
He got paid to get a haircut.
Yeah, how great is that?
That's great.
You guys, Orange. I was sitting on the couch just cheesing, laughing. This felt like interacting with the people on social media. It felt like this was fresh out of the 80s, early 90s of wrestling. It was just so cheesy. I loved it. It was much needed fun. It was just a good laugh.
Jack Evans is so innovative, and I love his, sometimes controversial offense, but I love the wild, aggressive offense. It's fun to watch. And, it's as a Ray Phoenix and a high spot mark like myself, he just like makes it look so effortless. And, you know, it took me, I can do like a front flip and a back flip, not standing, but like into a pool and stuff. It took me so long to learn that. And just the stuff and confidence that he can do. I think it's just incredible. But, you know, I'm kind of bummed that most of this match was in the commercial, you know, and so because Evans deserves, you know, to be seen. I think he is very fun to watch in the ring. Obviously, OC works great with the crowd. And as you said, Bonds, you know, piggyback on that DDT that OC gave to Evans, and he was just like literally vertical, like on his head and just like slowly teetered over. That sell spot was just absolutely incredible. But at any point, did you think Evans was going to pull out this victory one-on-one, or do you think he was possibly getting some shenanigans and OC was going to be a bald man? Did you guys ever think that?
I think much like our poll we ran earlier, there was never any doubt that Orange Cassidy is probably going to win this match. But Jack Evans, man, you never know what he's going to do. He's a dirtbag for a reason.
Gosh,
you know,
you guys are just being soft on me because you know I know that I'm a big Jack Evans fan. But let's be real out here. We all knew what was going to happen. I was excited for Jack to join the bald guy club.
Exactly.
And I'm happy to hear you say that, though, Bonds, as a Jack Evans fan. I'll be honest with you. He hasn't given us his best work in the last few times we've seen him. You know, Jack has looked a little sloppier than normal, which kind of sucks as a Jack Evans diehard fan to say. But tonight, I said it, man. Like, he was selling his ass off for Orange Cassidy tonight, man. Like, some of those moves you just – I mean, Bonds – you nailed it. Those DDTs that he received, the way he did he flipped himself inside out after that Superman punch, just absolutely beautiful selling by dirtbag Jack Evans. And you know, it was kind of a funny way to end the show. I don't know where it goes from here, but certainly was.
Who cares?
Who cares? Sometimes you don't need to have those long. You know what I mean? So
that's the end of the feud. His hair's gone. It's fine.
Let's ask though. I mean, like HFO, right? Like that's certainly an interesting topic. Where it seems like Jack might get cut, and if that ends up happening, who knows? I mean, you just all it takes is for one thread to get unraveled, and the whole rope comes apart, right?
So, that's true. Do you think the HFO is going to start to slowly like get rid of members, and then it's kind of narrow it down? I mean,
they're still growing, right? I mean,
they're always recruiting. People, so. I mean, Hardy was trying to recruit Big Money Fuego on Sammy's vlog, so it was kind of funny to see that because they're both wearing suits and stuff like that. But we'll shift gears into. I mean, I think
it was fun.
HFO to me, I like the HFO still. I think there's a place for them. It gives a 4 tag teams purpose right now, and it's giving the Dark Order purpose. It's giving feuds with the Best Friends, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But the Casino Battle Royal, we have Matt Hardy and OC in there, essentially 2 people leading this massive feud. So I think we're going to see more and more of that. So I don't think it's far from over. And you know what else I don't think is far from over is the women's feud. And I know Crayfish has been salivating over this one.
I had to join you
on paper.
Match,
man. We were very, very, very excited for this match. Yeah. You know, Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, and Thunder Rosa. You know, we were there live at All Out when we saw Jade eliminate Nyla, then Thunder eliminate Nyla. Nyla eliminate Jade, and then Thunder eliminate Nyla, and now they're triple threat. I would have preferred not a DQ match with this. I would have preferred a pure wrestling and match with this overall. But obviously the standout to me, well, I'm sure it's obvious for all of you, is Thunder. I mean, she clearly is, is such a veteran, such a smooth person in the ring. Nyla has a lot of experience. Jade is still relatively good new in the business, and so she's going to benefit so much with Nyla and so much with Jade in the ring. If they start to feud, as we hope to do, but man, it is the fire that Thunder brings, which we've talked about time and time again. The kicks that Thunder brings, the insane drop kicks that Thunder brings, man, they are brutal. This is what we love about her. She's not going through the moves. She's whooping your ass and in the ring every single time. If you took the double drop kicks to the chest and the back,
I mean, like they said, I'd be done. 1, 2, 3. I'd be done. I'd be done after those.
Yeah.
Bonds, I see you.
I don't want to
taste. Smiling. I see you sitting there smiling, and I think that there's this could be a healthy thing, guys.
Yeah.
Because I see both sides of this, and I can be I can be the mediator for once instead of being the heel. Bonds, I feel like you're ready to kind of check Downey into the boards and tell him, how can you possibly say that Thunder Rosa was the standout when Jade was standing tall over her at the end of this one? I know you're a big Jade fan, and yes,
we all
SPD
are.
SPD and I love ourselves some Thunder Rosa. So sometimes this show can kind of skew to be biased towards her because we personally love her work. But you add this secondary touch, and I saw you grinning ear to ear. I know what you're thinking in there.
Yeah, yeah. You've known me since I was a little kid. You know what I'm thinking, man.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
And SPD, I understand your point. I think that Thunder was awesome in this match, but the visual, the ending with Jade standing over Thunder in victory, that's right what there. I take out of this match, because we've been calling for it for months, guys, and we can't call for something and then be bummed when we get it. Jade got that big win tonight. This is the biggest win of her career,
without a doubt.
And this was a huge platform for it. This match could have easily been the main event. I think the results of it, I was surprised it's not the main event because of what ended up happening. And I really loved it. It was a lot of fun. It's a shame that we got the picture-in-picture almost immediately again, but the match itself was just a blast. I think that the trios match really, because of the result, really helped. I was surprised that Thunder took the pin. We were all talking about this during the match. What do we think is going to happen? That's typically what we do during the show, guys. We're usually texting back and forth and trying to figure out oh man, this is great, or what's going on here. And we were all really surprised at the result, just personally. But I think that they kind of know what they have in Jade Cargill. They know they have a monster. They know they have somebody who's undefeated. And when you have somebody that's young and hungry and relatively green, but still can show out in the ring like she can, man, you've got something special. And I think they kind of understand, okay, we got something special. We've got 2 shows. People are taking us seriously as competition for WWE. We have to build this division, continue to build this division, which they've been doing a great job of. We saw that on Dynamite as well. But man, tonight was a big, big win for Jade, and it was a step for her as a performer. She's going to be a big-time player now. This is not just oh, man, you just beat some random person on the roster. You beat Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa. These 2 have been champions and in the top contenders, and they've had some of the best matches we've seen in AEW. So we need to just be man, this is a big moment, and we have to acknowledge that, because I think it's very important for Jade just as a character and as a performer developing herself into that next step. It's a big moment.
SPD, you're always looking for Instagram clips. Bonds gave you a couple right there for Jade. and
that was mic drop quality right there.
I'm honest with you, man. And let's step back from our Thunder fandom and say, because and you're right. That to me, I think Bonds nails it when he says the lasting visual that I get from this match is Jade standing over Thunder, and that was a very deliberate message, and it was one that I won't forget. It really solidifies Jade as a top star in AEW, somebody that they really believe in. And I took that loss personally. I mean, props to AEW for not going in a cop-out way. I think a lot of people predicted Nyla being involved in this match to take the pin, and they didn't go that route. So even though it hurt to see that, I have to give AEW some props for having some cojones and booking it that way. I got to give them credit for that. And you think about where it happened, guys. On Rampage, since Rampage was announced, you're seeing the lightning in the background of Dynamite Download. Since Rampage was announced, we all said it. Jade needs to be one of the prominent stars on Rampage.
Yep. And
this is, if this doesn't send that message, I don't know what does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well said.
This was very purposeful on Rampage, beating the gatekeeper of the women's division and the number 1 contender, Thunder Rosa. Jade just took them both out and has staked claim to being at the top of this division, going toe-to-toe with Britt. And I think that AEW really, really sent a very clear message with this victory. I'm excited to see where it goes, man. Jade has a ceiling that is very rarely found in this business. You want to tap into people who have potential to be big stars.
Right.
And guys, Jade has that in spades. So even though, I mean, again, Thunder is a sentimental favorite here. And it hurt to see that happen the way it did, but Jade definitely deserves it. And I'm not going to be I initially was bummed, but I'm not going to let that linger. I'm excited for Jade. Yeah. And I think that, me personally, I could have said maybe Thunder was more ready to challenge Britt for the title, but this shows there's no handcuffs on Jade Cargill. She's going places and going places fast in AEW, and Rampage is going to be that platform.
I mean, we've said it time and time and time again, and we will continue to say it until the cows come home. But Jade is a star, period.
Give us your best
Jade is an absolute star, and her star is rising by the day, by the week. And I mean, there's, like you said, no limit to her. I mean, those 5 to 6 chair shots, I mean, that chair was dented. Those are brutal. But the reason being, I was texting you guys, like, Jade needs to win this one to keep her undefeated streak going, to keep the dominance going, to keep this star and dominant performer. She does, it would do her more good than to have this win than anyone else. Like this, even though Thunder took the pin, I mean, she took 5, 6, 7 chair shots for a loss. It wasn't like she was getting a boot to the face and taking a clean pin.
In a triple threat.
It wasn't a clean loss. I mean, Thunder power bombed Nyla Rose through a table off the top turnbuckle. Right. Thunder Rosa drop kicked the crap out of everyone. Thunder Rosa both these women's faces in tonight, and the crowd was on fire for Thunder Rosa. And I don't think any steam was lost in this, but it definitely helped establish Jade being the beast. For sure.
Bonds, I mean, before we transition into the next thing, I mean, I think that, the only thing that I will say as a caveat in defense of Thunder is she has had some high-profile, heartbreaking moments recently with the Battle Royal, losing to Ruby, coming up just short in that, and now it's coming up just short in this match. Maybe this is what Britt uses as her ammunition against Thunder eventually, and when they go toe to toe, is that Thunder just comes up just short. I mean, I will just say that I would be careful with how often we get to see this very impactful visual of Thunder Rosa coming up just short, because you can go verge on the Rocky thing where you got this underdog who kind of gets knocked down and keeps getting back up, but you don't want to go past that line and start to lose credibility. We don't want to do that, because we all think that Thunder can be that top baby face.
The one thing that she has on Britt is that win, that deathmatch win, man, like that's a big one. So I think that they've got a little bit of room, which is good.
Good point.
Because that visual, again, that's the last big women's visual that we got, other than Britt winning that title.
I would argue that this is going to be an iconic visual in AEW women's history. I think that Jade solidifying the number one contendership in the fashion that she did, I think this is one of those visuals that will stick with us. And I agree with you. Thunder definitely has that ace up her sleeve. She did beat Britt in the biggest women's match in AEW history and the first women's main event in AEW history. So she does have that up her sleeve, Bonds. I agree with you. But I'm just saying.
Oh, you're right, 100%.
So,
but I think that there's a little room because of that match in particular. People won't forget. That was a big one.
What's next for you guys in the rate of show? I know this. I don't want to hijack Rampage Rundown too much. SPD, where we? Oh, finally. Now I have to ask as a caveat for those who are with us and who are watching along and who check in on us after tonight's show. SPD is going to be able to mark out and geek out over Nick Jackson versus Bryan Danielson. This is going to be a phenomenal little segment for us. But SPD, are we going to also get a chance to circle back to some of the other things that we've missed on this show after this? Because I know one of the things going into this, you wanted to hear Bonds' take on Miro's title loss. And quite honestly, I think that there's so many things that happened with Ricky Starks'
Oh, yeah.
promo. And,
Oh, yeah,
and
we
in
are
case you
definitely
didn't
still for that.
notice, I don't get to wear this very often where it's relevant these days with Pac being exiled from the States, but he's going to be in a big match, my favorite wrestler in the world. I want to talk about those things too.
Of course,
I
love a good ladder match.
All right.
We're definitely diving deep. Bonds and I, we're gonna end the. We're talking all 3 matches. Then definitely want
Love it.
That start promo is money. And I got a booking by Bonds. Where he predicts Miro going to be, plus the Starks promo stuff. So we got a lot in store still. It is Friday night.
Oh, this is early, guys. It's only 11:30.
Cold ones, and
man,
I got a cheers to that. Cracking cold ones here on Dynamite Download. But wow, this match, Nick Jackson versus Bryan Danielson. I hope that Bryan Danielson gets a chance to go one-on-one with every single person in the Elite, because he will have banger matches with Matt Jackson. He'll have a banger match with Adam Cole. I would, Carl Anderson.
Have him fight Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler 2-on-1.
Sure.
2-on-1 match.
All for it.
Great.
I'm all for it, man. But, man, I think, coming off the heels of, as some would say, one of the match of the years that we saw as well, with Kenny Omega, obviously, and Bryan Danielson. I'm pulling a crayfish there.
This
was, Bryanson.
I think this one, it started slow a little bit, and then boom, man, this thing was on fire. All the great holds that Bryan Danielson was hitting, chop kick combo is pure money in my opinion. I love that he's bringing this in his arsenal. Next match he's doing, I'm going to count how many kicks that Bryan Danielson gets, because he throws probably like 30 plus kicks a match, and they're absolutely brutal. And I loved how he was like essentially hulking up and just like not leaning into those kicks from Nick Jackson. Man, but I think Bryan Danielson looked like $1 million in this match. Very innovative, and his offense was great. And he had some great counters, and so did Nick Jackson. He had some awesome counters to a lot of the offensive moves that Bryan Danielson doing. Especially, I love that Escalera that Nick Jackson did. It was incredible off the top rope. That high spot that those Jacksons can do is just, insane. And then shortly after, we followed up with a massive kick to Cutler Stooge's face, which was absolutely brutal. It made Taz mark out, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Taz was cracking up on that as well. But, this, like I said, I want to see Matt Jackson go now to toe-to-toe, because, as the Young Bucks are very similar with their offense, but
he's gone.
A totally different match.
Oh, we lost you in the middle of the epic
Absolutely.
And honestly, you're right. I mean, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, we get your point. Exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, their offense is so similar as brothers, but they're so different in the way they tell stories in the ring. Yeah. And it could be a very different matchup. I know that there are those people out there who are huge Nick Jackson marks, and I tend to be more on the Matt Jackson side. And that's no different than a Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy. I mean, there's so many Edge and Christian, all the iconic duos. You always have those where it splits, and that's because they're both great. Yeah. And I agree with you, SPD. I want to see Bryan Danielson go against Matt next, and I want to see Bryan Danielson. You know what, dude? I would even love to see Bryan Danielson go against the Good Brothers. Bring me Bryan Danielson against Big Luke, baby. Let's do it. Why not?
Oh, that's dude, right. Yeah. That'd be so. I wanted him to go through every single one systematically and then get his match with Kenny. That's what I want. I want him to just go through all of the Elite and just say, you know what? This is what the labors of Jericho could have been. I'm going to go through the labors of the Elite.
The 7 layers of the Elite.
Yeah, the 7 labors of the Elite. And it's going to be their labors because he's going to beat the hell out of all of them and then get up on Kenny. So it's going to be their labor. It's going to be
and how
a nightmare.
Great is that too, Bob? Yeah. Like where it's like, from the get-go, he's called Kenny out for hiding behind all his stooges. So then he goes and he kicks all their asses, makes them tap out, and then he
Kenny,
goes against
no balls. Kenny, no balls.
You're doing it at home. I mean, you're right, man. I think like Bonds, the Elite they've been on top in AEW throughout this this Kenny Omega World Championship.
The era of
run.
Kenny.
And Young Bucks tag belts, great run.
The Good Brothers have been the Impact champs. Like,
it's been great.
All these belts. But again, there's always got to be a David for every Goliath.
Amen.
And
that's true.
And we have our David now because
beautiful.
Bryan Danielson took Kenny to the edge. He had a great match with Nick Jackson. We got to give props to Nick. That was a great match tonight. I loved it.
Yep.
Perfect way to open the show. I think one thing we noticed from this match, guys, is the main event seems to be the opening match. And they just go and just say, man, like, you guys coming from this other show, we're going to give you guys something awesome to start off ours. So I love that. I love that we get to see the best right away. We get to enjoy it. And the good thing about Rampage too, which I really enjoy, is that they really keep that pace up that whole time. Once you get that pace going, that hype, and that thing just goes, it hits you through the whole show because it's only an hour. It feels so quick. And there's usually just a lot of matches, very few promos. But man, this match, just to kick it off, had me hyped the whole time. Because again, I'm a huge Nick Jackson slappy. I'm like one of those people you said. I like both of them, but I love the way Nick can just do some funny stuff when he's by himself. I feel like he lets himself be a little funnier when he's by himself because he's able to be more of the focus. I think that when it's both of them like together, they kind of both do their own thing and it's a lot of fun. But I like when they put the focus on Nick because he's just so weird and funny. Like, he had this stupid dyed beard and just looked hilarious. And just man, like he plays that character so well. He's got like the dyed auburn hair and just looks hilarious. And he's going against Danielson, and it's just like he's holding his own. He's this goofball who can also go in the ring with the best in the world, in like the best pure wrestler in the world. Maybe outside of Kenny Omega, maybe maybe a little higher than Kenny. Who knows? We haven't seen enough of it yet. We only had a 30-minute match. We need a 60-minute match to know what's going on. So I don't know.
What do you guys think? How that ended with the double tap out with Adam Cole and Kenny Omega tapping out?
It was a declarative moment. Another one. Yeah. We got a lot of that on Rampage tonight. We got a lot of those moments where we got to see like Jade have her biggest win of her career.
Sure.
And then we got to see this before that, which was crazy. Adam Cole's a big hot free agent signing and he's tapping out in the ring. And man, like to Jungle Boy too, that's another feud that is going to hopefully continue to bud and get better because man, like those guys can go. And that match was fantastic on Dynamite. So we're just getting all these
visual at the end. Both guys face to face tapping out.
Yeah. And that's what's going to be the ultimate end of the Elite because they need to get put in their place at some point. And I feel bad for Adam Cole because he just kind of joined this whole thing as that ship might be going down. He might have just got on the sinking Titanic right before they hit an iceberg. It's just super unfortunate. I feel bad for the guy.
With the Elite being so strong in numbers, do you see someone else helping out that team of what we're seeing? Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, the Elite Hunter, and Bryan Danielson. Do you think someone else could join to kind of help them out, or do you think they need anyone? Because clearly, they're picking up some wins here and there, but ultimately, power and numbers wins when you have the Stooges and the Carl Andersons and all those additional guys that are part of the Elite. Do you want to see someone, or do you think someone comes back? I know I've kind of predicted maybe Hangman kind of like being that end-all savior that could dethrone Kenny, we heard the CM Punk chants deafening the crowd on Wednesday night Dynamite with when Kenny Omega was on the mic. So what do you think? What do you think happens?
Man, I don't know if they need to add anybody. I like the star power they have. I don't know if they need to muddy the waters by adding more talent. I mean, you've got people like Jungle Boy already involved in this. You've got Bryan Danielson. You've got Christian involved in this. You've got a lot of big names. You got Frankie Kazarian. You've got Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt. You got these guys already in this match. But Marco's involved, man. He's in Jurassic Express. You got to have I would love to see that kind of match. That'd be super fun to have him in there with those guys. I could see him doing some really funny spots with a guy like Carl Anderson, or even you have like Knack in there, and you could do some really fun stuff with those guys. Yeah. I think that would be great. Or even Brandon Cutler comes back. I think that'd be fantastic. So I don't know if you need to add anybody else in this match that's going to happen because, man, it's got so much star power already. You look at the Elite. Those guys are all elite for a reason. And then we got the good guys that are all also these top tier performers that have been around and everybody respects them and thinks they're fantastic. One of the pillars that MJF mentioned on Dynamite is in this feud. Like, that's awesome. And we're going to see, hopefully we see that big blow up and we're just going to get all these crazy matches. I want to see it go for a little bit longer right before we get the Adam Page come back and steal that gold off Kenny. That's the end game, but we want to see this first. And maybe we'll see that with something we talk about in a little bit, because there is a Joker in the match that's going to be on Wednesday. So who knows who's going to be there?
That is true.
We kind of have the 6 already.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
But Craven,
we might be adding
anyone's
somebody
going to be there to help out? Do you think like this feud will go long enough for the Elite to kind of start picking up wins and kind of, the good guys getting beat up, and they needing assistance? Do you think it'll be stretched out that long? Or do you see kind of right away the good guys triumphing over the Elite?
Well, I mean, I think Bonds raised a lot of great points in his counter to your question. I think that I know you laugh, but I think Marco Stunt against Brandon Cutler would be really funny. I think that Marco Stunt against Nakazawa would be really funny. I think there is something there, and I think that you're starting to see clear like pairings come up in this battle where you see Bryan Danielson and Kenny, you see Jungle Boy and Adam Cole. There are clear like parallels starting to happen in this feud that are working. The missing link there is I would love to see a tag team maybe emerge or something that would happen with the Young Bucks and Good Brothers. But I view things very differently than you guys, and maybe it's the inner heel in me, but my mind doesn't really think about who's going to join the good guys. My mind is thinking about what's going to happen to the Elite. And, I'm just fantasy booking things, but I go back to when Don Callis came into the fold and how he kind of, with Kenny and the Young Bucks and the drama that was going on between them, and how Don slapped them in the face to get them to wake up and join Kenny. I think Adam Cole.
That was a brutal slap.
I think Adam Cole. You guys, Bonds joked about Adam Cole joining a sinking ship. I sometimes have a hard time with Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Bryan because I don't stop watching wrestling. I've always watched wrestling.
You didn't have that break.
I never have had a break in my life. And Adam Cole, I've seen what he does. He's a part of great rising of groups, but he's also a catalyst in their fall because ultimately he's about himself. And I could see him undermining Kenny, and I could see the super click with Adam Cole and the Bucks eventually splitting and having a war with Kenny and the Good Brothers. And kind of like what we saw with NWO, where you saw the New World Order break up into the Wolf Pack. And they ended up being rivals. And I think, I mean, again, I know I'm a heel, so I automatically, my mind thinks about the heels. But I could see that eventually happening where, we've talked about what happens to the Elite when they lose their titles and they're no longer Elite. Well, now Kenny's really the only one that's really holding on to a lot of that relevance for that group. And I know the Good Brothers have won and lost those Impact Tag Team titles so many times I can't count. But Kenny really is holding on to that right now while the Bucks have lost their belts. And I think that there could be some inner turmoil that could happen as Bryan Danielson runs through the group. And as this babyface collective, we've seen other groups try. My guy Pac has been part of those groups that have tried to take down the Elite.
Right.
But maybe it's what happens from who they allow in. How many times have you said, SPD, ships don't sink because of the crazy tide around them. They sink because of the water that comes in them. And maybe the Elite sink because they allowed the ultimate scumbag. I know, guys, Adam Cole is the hot name right now, but if you don't follow his career, then you don't realize what an absolute scumbag this guy is in the business. You got a taste of it when he kicked.
You want a taste?
He grabbed Aubrey and kicked at Jungle Boy in the nuts to win an epic match. He's willing to stoop to any low to win, and I think that he's shown he's willing to stab his own friends in the back. And it's kind of funny that Bobby Fish is going to be challenging Sammy Guevara for the TNT title, because that's a guy who could testify to what I'm saying. Bobby and firsthand gotten just absolutely stabbed in the back by Adam Cole.
Maybe he joins the good guy team.
Hey, maybe.
That would actually be kind of cool.
He has a bone to pick with Adam Cole. That's for damn sure. SPD loves that one, dude. It's a banger.
That's a great song, man. It's making me so. It's kind of cool. Like, obviously, I didn't follow Adam Cole that much more before this.
It's okay.
But his theme song is making me like him more and more, because his theme song is so cool. If that's possible. I mean, I'm sure you guys have done that too. Like, this person, I don't really care for their character or what they're doing, but their theme song is making me grow on them, for sure. And that is a prime example that's making me skyrocket to be a fan of him. But you're talking about what seems like two alpha males in a group, like you compare it to NWO is great stuff. And for them to separate and form two groups, I think that's such a smart booking on that. And even if Kenny could play into it, if they do start to butt heads, like if he's holding that title and like they have gold and they don't, and then Young Bucks can challenge for the Impact titles too eventually or something like that. So that's great, because as of now, we're not seeing a true tag team feuding with the Young Bucks right now. So that would make a lot of sense. You're onto something there. I definitely think you're
imagine
onto
Bonds. Imagine. I mean, I know. Again, I know that you're a fan of the Bucks. Their history with Impact Wrestling.
I like it.
How cool would it be if they challenged the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team Championships one day? I mean, that would be really cool to me. To segue, I don't want to hijack again, but that's just kind of my nature.
We're a team.
To segue, you mentioned, entrance songs and entrances that make you like root for a person, even though you might not necessarily be huge fans of them outside of that entrance. And I know that I am on the counter movement of this, but there's nobody that comes to mind more than that for me than Malachi Black. This is a guy who was when he was in NXT. I watched him in NXT, and I said it from the get-go. Character-wise, his entrance theme in NXT was absolutely ridiculous. It was freaking amazing, and he became a star. A lot of the reason because of his mystique, his presentation, aura, his presentation, and on the main roster, they ripped that away from him. Which again, why would you cross? Why would you sabotage someone who gets over so much because of that? And I'm sorry, if Malachi Black didn't have that banger of an entrance, he could verge on being a guy who's just another guy.
So you're saying if his name was Michael McGillicuddy, he would have probably not been super popular?
All I'm saying is, for me, I get down with Malachi Black because of things outside of
his ring performance. I understand.
And this was another example why what he does in his promos, how he presents himself in his entrances.
Great promo.
Like the way the lights turn out and then flicker on and off in his entrances. This dude, he gets it from a presentation perspective. But he's a huge example to me as a guy who really I can get down with him because of that. We've had a lot of inner arguments about my take. Right. I know I disagree with you guys about him in the ring.
Yeah.
But I think we all can agree that this story with Cody, I liked seeing this tonight. There's more meat on the bone there, especially after what we saw with Arn. Cody seems ripe for the picking.
Yeah.
It's one of the more back and forth controversial storylines going on right now. I definitely don't think Malachi's done with the Nightmare Family or Cody, even though he's put him down twice.
No.
Cody is one of the more confused talents on the roster right now in terms of, on camera stuff. He's so torn. Arn put that fire promo out on him, calling him out. And it's, the crowd obviously is booing him. Malachi Black is one of those like anti-heroes that you want to root for. I instantly think of like the bad guy, like the Stone Cold that you shouldn't root for, but you're rooting for. But Malachi Black, it's hard not to root for him, even if he does, kick an old guy in the face, a legend in the face, or, Captain America, Cody Rhodes in the face.
He'll get cheered for that.
I think it's just so his wrestling, our, AEW fans are so smart. I think that they just appreciate unique, original people whose chains have been broken. They've seen people chained and now they're broken. The fans want to see it. And that's why we're cheering for Adam Cole. That's why we're cheering for Ruby. That's why we're cheering for all these other people whose chains have been broken.
John Moxley was an example. Yeah.
Hopefully Kevin Steen in a few months.
I know you're excited about that, Bonds. It'll happen.
Who?
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens.
Oh, you think? That's a whole nother topic we'll talk about.
In January. We'll talk about that in January.
When it happens.
Yeah.
I've always been a big Kevin Owens fan, but Malachi Black is one of those fans. And I proposed the question before a few weeks ago to you guys. I'm like, when has a debut on AEW in terms of new roster members from other companies debuted and they've gotten a bad reception, whether they're heel or babyface? Never. It's never happened.
No.
Andrade presented as a heel.
Maybe the Good Brothers got booed, but
well, that's a little different because they came over from Impact and they're not officially AEW. They're not all elite. So other than those stooges, which I'm still not cool on them.
2.0 got booed pretty bad.
Right. But I like them now.
Oh, yeah. But they're great. They got booed.
Yeah, but they got booed for a reason. They went against the number.
Well, Malachi's supposed to get booed too, but he's getting cheered like, he's defeating the Kraken or something. Man.
Go ahead, Bonds. Relish in the glory of Malachi Black and wax poetic about how Malachi is so much better than Cody Rhodes. Go ahead.
Well, he's not better than Cody. I just think it's funny. I enjoy the crowd reaction.
And you enjoy seeing me unhappy, I can tell.
Well, hey, man, you're such a Cody Mark. I got to laugh.
It's so weird. I am
a Cody Mark too.
But he's a heel, Crayfish. It makes sense for you. You're a team heel. Cody's clearly going to be a heel soon. This is what's going on. It's fine. It's great. I think that they're probably setting up something interesting with this because, Arn Anderson, again, we got to give Arn credit you guys talked about it on Wednesday, but man, he was awesome on Wednesday. And
he was.
I think that he kind of might have given away some story points, which is good. I think that without his post-match promo on Cody, it would have been a very different feel to the match itself. It was very
that Glock promo was one of the biggest,
or not the match with Malachi, but his post match like in the tag match. It was crazy. Sure. Like, oh man, like you called him out for like being basically a coward. You called him a coward, and like, man, you're kind of alienating this guy. And then you take Lee Broughton away from him, like his friend Shoddy Lee, who he's mentoring. You're like, hey, Shoddy Lee, nope, you're not his buddy anymore. You're gonna listen to me and go this way. And it's like, man, Cody. It feels almost like he's a broken man right now. He can't win. He wins and he can't win. He wins and Arn Anderson makes fun of him. It's like, man, what are you supposed to do? Like, I won my match, even though Shoddy Lee got the pin. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as Cody Rhodes, the EVP. I'm ready to go. And then, he just gets totally messed up by his buddy Arn. It's just sad, but it's also hilarious. So it's like,
I know.
Man. I feel bad for you, Crayfish. I know you really wanted Cody to win, but
yeah. I guess as a Cody fan, what's happening right now is, I got to say, it's at least interesting. I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen with Cody. And that's, I guess, in an era where we all are so smart and we're all so plugged in and we all know what's going on.
Yep.
It's kind of cool to wonder what's going to happen. I mean, we all could fantasy book what's going to happen to Cody Rhodes, and there's no clear path. There's no perfect path. There's no right path. I think that there's credibility to those people who say that Cody should lean into the heel vibes and the boos that he's getting and the reactions he's getting. And I also think there's credibility for those out there who, like SPD has said, there's no better ambassador for the AEW brand than Cody. And why would you ever taint that?
Ever.
You just gotta.
He's the John Cena of AEW, and he should just embrace that and be himself.
Tough with it, right?
He
with
should
the show
embrace
coming
it.
there.
He should embrace it, but he should just go 1,000,000 miles an hour in that character and just make everybody hate it, and that would be awesome.
Because
he can be. I know it's smart, it's subtle. That's why I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I think he is doing that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on. But he's trying to. He's being that John Cena. Like, look at me, I'm the only one with like the entrance through the middle. Look at me, I'm awesome. I've got like my own special thing. I'm gonna have my whole family come out with me, and I'm gonna have a parade every time I win, even against like enhancement talents. I'm gonna have a parade, and it's just like that's one of the that's why it's awesome. I like it.
That's one of the things you called for a long. Like you were like,
yeah, I'm excited about.
He was beating up on the Factory again. Yep. I'm sorry to go back to my favorite faction in all of AEW, but when he was beating up on the Factory. You know, you kept saying it is like, dude, you just beat Aaron Solo. Like, what are you? Why are you? You're Cody Rhodes. you beat Nick Camarado, a guy who, we all think is awesome. But I mean, the guy's so raw. You've been in WrestleMania. Like, how are you throwing a parade for yourself, you jerk? And it's so. And now it's more and more. It's becoming less subtle, and it's becoming like. How many people online if you've watched the show The Boys? I don't know if you have or not.
I have not.
But on HBO, if you've ever watched the show The Boys, it's Seth Rogen's a masterpiece about superheroes gone bad, and you know he really is leaning into this this Homelander vibe. His gear feels like it, and it's like it's the presentation of like I'm so good, I'm so perfect, I'm such a role model, you know, that you almost despise him if your life falls short of him. And I think that's great. I don't know. I love it. I think that, you know, and how many times, guys, have we talked about guys who check all the boxes? And Cody's one of those guys. You can cut a promo. We've seen him do great heel work. We've seen him do great face work. He does it all. I'm really intrigued. I know it's selfishly. I want to see him join up with his old best friend QT. I want to see it. But that's the thing. Anywhere his character goes, I think we're all curious, and that's a good thing. Yeah, Cody still keeps fans wanting more, and that shows that he's not going away anytime soon. I think all these like him leaving his boot in the ring and stuff like that. Dude, Cody is getting in. He's still in his prime, guys.
He's 36 years old or something. Yeah. He's the same age as Malachi Black, everybody.
Let's pump the brakes on the Cody Rhodes retirement train, y'all. I know I got the train of Darby Express going full-fledged, but can we pump the brakes on the Cody retirement train? He's not done by any stretch, guys.
He just needs to put that boot in the ring every time he loses. Just soak it up, man. He gets booed out of every arena. He starts crying after every loss. He puts that boot in the middle of the ring. Oh, man, it'll be great. Every win, he starts crying. He's got Shoddy Lee putting on his shoulders. You know, he's just, it'd be great. That would be so funny.
Give me training montages. Give me all the vignettes.
SPD's ready to move on.
Give me all the vignettes. And speaking of vignettes, the Ricky Starks, dude, I can't wait.
Awesome.
We're going to talk to the Machine this weekend, and I can't wait to talk to the Machine. Now,
I was a little surprised by this vignette, man. I was caught off guard.
Woo! Well, I mean, I think we all were, because, you know, like, it felt like they were kind of moving forward from the Brian Cage Team Taz thing, and for them to bring it up and do it this way, damn, dude. I mean, like, Brian Cage, I'm pumped. This guy is making waves right now between Dark Side of the Ring, all the commentary about the EVPs, and now this stuff with Ricky Starks getting that. Dude, this feud, it felt like you had the soup on simmer. You know, you just had it simmering a little bit. Ricky Starks, baby, he turned that baby all the way up. This is a roaring boil now.
Do you guys think that this feud was put on the back burner because of all of the new additions that came into into AEW over the last 2 months? Do you think that this feud kind of suffered from that? Because I think that it's kind of interesting that now that we have all these new names and these guys are kind of getting in these established feuds or starting to get into established feuds, that it comes back to this. And I'm like, man, like, now we can focus on it again. Now it's not like, oh, there's no CM Punk talk anymore because he's here. There's no Bryan Danielson talk because he's here. Adam Cole is here now. Ruby Soho is here now. And so now we can kind of focus on something that, in my opinion, should have been focused on before, because again,
anybody who follows us regularly, we know.
Right. But I mean, you can't just let a few die in the middle of what's going on.
Right.
Even if it's not going, the way that, you want it to go from the fan perspective, which I'm not saying this was that case at all, but I do think that it's kind of weird just having this feud at Red Hot, and then, it's not like Ricky Starks just disappeared. He's been on TV, Brian Cage has been on TV, and then it just kind of died. And now Team Taz is feuding with CM Punk. And Ricky Starks is like, nah, man, like, I haven't been involved in that yet, but I'm going to still go after Brian Cage. And tonight we got that reminder. It was almost like that, like a taser, like, wow, like this is back. Awesome. Like it was like a quick, like, holy crap.
Well, it
was necessary. We needed that pushback into this feud. And I think that they did it in such a good way. This vignette was awesome, guys. Ricky Starks can talk. And he can put on a presentation that, like, very few people in this industry can have a presentation like that and just absolutely own it and dominate it. And he went and just did kind of what I was hoping he would do from the beginning of this feud with Brian Cage, especially when the crowd kind of turned on Cage a little bit. Own it. Go into it. Like, throw a dagger in that and just twist it. And that's what he did tonight. He was like, man, I'm basically cut an MJF promo. I'm better than you. Like, get on my level, and I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm at this level. And it was so refreshing because we've been wanting that in this feud. That's what I've wanted personally. And I think you guys feel the same way about it.
Yeah. I mean, I was fully surprised that they kind of rekindled this. Maybe it had something to do with maybe potential injury or something like that.
Well, he had that injured neck.
Yeah.
But he's,
I'm not, well, or of Cage or anything like that. Yeah. So, but this was a shock promo, and it was very welcomed. As you said, I mean, this guy's got charisma for days, man. This guy's $1 million, man. Picked up, for one of the breakout performers of 2021. And we knew that as soon as he got gold, which I hope down the line he gets a TNT championship, I think that he's just going to be cutting mad promos. He's going to be, obviously we have MJF, the gold medalist heel. Ricky Starks could be, shortly below that, because I think he's got that charisma and the way he just delivers and just the walks the walk, talks the talk. And I think being on commentary helps him so much with his confidence and his promo skill.
Bonds, while SPD gathers himself, I'm glad that he mentioned the commentary thing, though. I'll be honest with you, because, I've said this. AEW is really brave with putting out more and more combinations of talent, getting on commentary, and Ricky Starks, he owns it on the mic, and it's obvious that this guy kind of delivers things with a charisma and a confidence and a strength that is really impressive. He knows how to roll with the punches on commentary. I think being put in situations where you have to respond to people and kind of vibe off of events that happen and all those things. Ricky just has kind of become he's always been strong on the mic, but I think all that extra commentary work that SPD talked about, when you hear him on Dark, it adds a different level of confidence when you know that you're always on, and that there's going to be things thrown at you that you're not prepared for, that you kind of have to roll off of and just kind of react to. His natural banter with Don Callis was fantastic on Dark recently. And I think that there's something there with Starks. And SPD, I'll let you jump back in, since,
Yes, I'm back, baby.
I think that you were onto something, and that's why I really think you nailed it with Ricky Starks. I think he's hitting another level in his promo game. that again, I know that you gotta have both. You have to have the sizzle and the steak in order to really be a star. And I know that there's a lot of people who I've argued personally with people who feel like the in-ring stuff is more important than the talk. But I've always said you gotta do both. Yeah. And Ricky Starks is one of those guys that I think that you're right, SPD. He's starting to really hit his stride.
I mean, you just mentioned it. I think Ricky Starks is a prime example of getting over without performing in the ring, because we have not seen him perform in the ring. Obviously, his neck injury, and he had that cage match to win the belt. But like, other than that,
since that match,
I mean, I'll look up his wrestling matches while I'm going on. But the fact that he's staying relevant and over, and it's just a testament to his character growth and his mic work. I mean, MJF went on probably a 6-month span of not necessarily wrestling, but he was so relevant with the Pinnacle and just cutting promos and stuff like that. And so now that we're seeing MJF more and more in the ring, I think it's great because he's the top pillar of AEW. But Ricky Starks right now, to me, is one of those guys that is just elevating his star power without stepping foot in the ring and just being, that antagonistic guy and, just talking so much smack and just, with his head held high and just that charisma for days. And so it's fun to watch that. And maybe it is something just trying to get that fully healed neck, but I want to see him talk the talk and walk the walk, because he is talk the talk, like, for sure, time and time again. And so I want to see that more and more. And so I'm excited for what's in store with that.
Oh, I feel it, man. He's one of those guys that I feel like he could break out at any time. He's right on that cusp of being just ready to go, man. And I think that this, again, tonight's vignette felt like one of those, like, okay, like, this guy is kind of ready for that next big push, and we'll see. And I'm hoping for it so much, because we've been seeing online, everybody's talking about, hey, like, all these former WWE guys are here doing their thing, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. Right. Look who's involved in all these feuds. Like, there's so many young, up-and-coming, top-tier AEW developed talent, and Ricky Starks is one of them. He's right on that level with those other guys that MJF mentioned on Wednesday as being pillars. Like, he's right there with those guys. He's got youth on his side, and he's got exactly. Absolutely. And there's still others too that we haven't even mentioned, but I mean, he's right there, and they have a lot of talent that in the next 2 years are probably going to all be household names to anybody that watches professional wrestling.
You definitely would hope so. And, like I said, I was looking up Starks' match. I mean, he got injured. His match in April 22nd was his last match, and then he beat Brian Cage July 14th, and then he had a dark taping on 9/11. So he has not been in the ring that much, other than on TV, just that July 14th title, on that. So let's shift into quickly the Sammy promo, and then I got to hear Bonds' take on Miro, because we crowned a new AEW champ, TNT champion, which was a bit of surprise. We talked about a lot on our Dynamite download if you want to catch that, but we saw Sammy Guevara cut a promo saying he hasn't even had this belt a minute, and people are trying to call him out. So we're going to see him battle on the 2nd anniversary show of Dynamite already versus Bobby Fish. But the bigger question that I've been dying to know is, where do you go from here from Miro? Because I was excited, and we've predicted Sammy as a TNT champ, but coming this soon, it was kind of a surprise. It's definitely a welcomed surprise. I like the quicker changes of the belts. But Miro's run has been so dominant, and I think his growth has been, astronomical since getting that belt with his promos and stuff. But I cannot put my finger on what you do next with Miro. So I hope you have something, Bonds. Open my eyes, please.
Looking by Bonds.
Well, Miro is the Redeemer.
I know.
So he's got to redeem himself now.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here, because I've been saying this for a while about Miro, is that he gets a very mixed crowd reaction. Like, Miro gets a lot of love for his offense and for what he does in the crowd. And I think that, exactly, guys, I think that he could easily become a baby face.
Yeah.
I think that's the next step. I think that the Redeemer will redeem himself and kind of turn a little bit more into a baby face, and then could even maybe ascend to a different belt, in the next 6 months.
Okay.
I think that this was a test. This TNT title run for Miro was a test to see if he could handle that strap and see if he could handle being that guy. And he, in my opinion, was the most impressive champ just for a match-by-match basis. Obviously Kenny Omega's the best bout machine, but Miro, just in terms of his dominance and pure just athleticism, looked like $1 million as the TNT champion. He was so just on point, and it was 140 days, not even like the top 3 length of a title run, but his title run felt so impactful. He was able to just go through guys, and I think that maybe in a redemption tour, you kind of see him maybe even lose a little bit more, or maybe kind of doubt himself, and then get back and just go on his rampage again. And I think that Miro's the kind of guy, his offense is so interesting and it's so impactful that even if he's going through guys like a freight train, people are going to love it. It's going to be like Goldberg's offense. Goldberg didn't do anything that like interesting. He didn't do, crazy moves. He just beat people up, and everybody in WCW, the fans, they ate it up for his whole undefeated streak. And Miro is that kind of athlete where he just can go through people. He's stronger than everybody else. He's faster than everybody else. And I'm not saying push him like Goldberg or anything. I don't think that makes sense, because I think his mic stuff has been fantastic too. But if you play up a storyline where he's kind of, like he lost and it kind of bothers him and it messes with him for a little bit, and then he kind of becomes, I was God's favorite champion. I was the redeemer. I got to get redeemed, and kind of start picking up wins again slowly. Maybe you don't see him all the time. Maybe you see him every 3 weeks. And you just start being like, oh man, like Miro's starting to pick up some wins again and get some momentum again. And then you have him build that momentum up, and he doesn't even go for that TNT title. He goes for the world championship. And who knows who's going to be the champ when that happens. I think this is a long-term thing. You don't have him lose and then just have him do nothing. I think that would be a huge waste of the last 6 months. He's been on a different level. So you kind of let him kind of go on the back burner a little bit. And then you kind of have him come back and maybe even channel some of that Baron Corbin stuff that we've been seeing with him. Like, not to that level, because I think it's a little ridiculous.
You want to see happy? You want to see him happy?
Yeah, right. Well, Baron, I think that Baron Corbin is hilarious and
happy
fantastic,
Miro.
But yeah, happy Miro. Here I am. I'm guys.
So
it's gonna be him. He's the same character, but he smiles. It'll be like the Big Show turns.
Oh, goodness.
Where he just, whenever he turns into a good guy, he just does the same thing, but he waves and smiles at everybody. No, you got to give him something a little more thoughtful and unique and interesting. And I think that would be the way to kind of tie it into what he's currently doing with his God's favorite champion story, and also, play up a new babyface. I think that with how many new stars you're getting, a guy like him as a babyface would be really unique, because people like Lance Archer, for example, Lance is great, but he kind of toes that line. Lance is never really a babyface or a heel. He's kind of just in that middle ground. And I think for me personally, Miro could be a knockout babyface in the next 3 to 6 months, where you kind of play that up, and then you have somebody new with the belt. Who knows? Maybe CM Punk has the belt by then. He's a heel. That's something you could have down the line. I'm not going to book that far in advance, but I think that would be an interesting story. And who knows? I don't really want to see him immediately go back after Sammy or anything. I think that would be kind of like, okay, played out. I don't really want to see that. I'd rather see him kind of be forgotten for a couple weeks, then come back with a vengeance. That would be a blast.
Yeah, I want to see. I think a babyface run, which would be pretty sweet. I think, I honestly didn't even. I was just stumped. I was like, what do you do with him? Because I didn't see any clear-cut stuff. And I like the fact, I think during Miro's run, the fans were, Miro's going to kill you chance. I think that would be a fun, just a beast of a baby face would be fun to watch. I don't think there's a missing void that would be filled with that. And I think a lot of fans would get behind that for sure. Crayfish, do you have any idea? Like what are you thinking off the cusp? Like what would you book Miro? Because I'm I like this.
Well, I think like it's interesting because when I saw that match live on Wednesday and I talked to you about it after the show, You really put a different spin on Miro's championship reign than I think the common narrative is. And Bonds really, I think, further highlighted and emphasized I think the popular narrative of Miro's championship reign, which is, he was dominant and it really lifted him to another status within AEW, which I think to a broader point is true. But I do think that you did raise some points about who he beat and who he fought during that title reign. And I think that there could be something there that could be a blend of both of what you guys are saying, where, Miro's title reign was dominant and now he is truly established as a guy who is at an upper tier, but where does he rank in that? Where does he rank in that upper tier?
Right.
And as a guy like him, who takes a lot of pride in like being an alpha male and having the beautiful wife and the title and all those things, starting to look at the landscape of AEW and asking yourself, if you're a lion, right, and you're in the savannah, you got to look around at the other lions and ask yourself, where do I rank in this pecking order of dominant males? And I think getting having that dominant title reign against a lot of undercard talent, and then losing to Sammy the way, like he did, it would be interesting to see a blend of both of your guys' ideas turn into something where Miro starts to have a gut check and wonder, where do I stand in that main title picture? Where do I stand in the world title picture? And that would then go tap into his initial comments when he won when he was going for the TNT title, which is, if you have a belt, I'm coming for you. And so he's already accomplished. He's already has the pelt of his own TNT title on the wall. To see him slowly work towards trying to achieve that world championship makes a lot of sense for me. And I think that, AEW does need to build on what they've put in. Like, this TNT title reign can be a difference maker for Miro's career if they allow it. But you can't let him fall through the cracks. You do need to take advantage of, even though he lost this match, I think you quickly need to establish him as somebody who's a big player in the landscape of AEW. And that's what I'd love to see him in that ladder match. To me, I'm wearing my Pac shirt. Nobody, you saw when you see the guys who are already announced in that match, I geek out about it. But I think Miro would be, think about the names: Lance Archer, John Moxley, Pac. You start to rattle off these names.
That's a great transition. Wow.
The Joker of Miro, I think, would be great, and would add another level of physicality.
I didn't even think of that.
Right now, you got Lance Archer, who is the true beast of this match.
A dominant ladder match person, man, too.
It would certainly be interesting. I thought Miro, Bonds, you said it in your epic take. Everybody loves hearing your takes on Miro, and you said it. Miro is a guy who's strong as anybody in the business, and who's as fast and athletic as anybody in the business. And what better way to showcase that than in a ladder match like this?
Right.
And again, would add that much more credibility. And, another guy who could believably win this one. I would love to see him as the Joker. Now, again, who knows? AEW likes to try to throw wild cards at us with the Joker. Maybe Leo Rush becomes that guy.
I was thinking Leo, since they recently,
Yeah.
But would you have him be the Joker again? Because he was the Joker for the last.
I think Miro, with his history with Lance Archer, and I think would be a great program with John Moxley if he had an opportunity to have a program with Mox. I think those two could have some epic wars. You talk about guys who are physical in the ring, who are both like king of the jungle type of mentalities. I would love that. But who knows? I just think I love this matchup, and again I love being able to wear my Pac shirt tonight because it's so nice to see him back in this. I know SPD. Anytime you get to see the Murder Hawk involved, you're happy. If you were a betting man, I've been watching The Sopranos a lot lately, and it's been making me think a lot of sports gambling and things like that. If you were a betting man, who would be your odds-on favorite if you were the head of Vegas? Who would you put as the top guy, the biggest, the best odds to win this one?
Whew, man, I mean, so Miro never even crossed my mind, but I like that idea. If this was closer to Full Gear, I would say Hangman would be this debut because AEW has been known to.
Not that far away from Full Gear though.
Yeah, I mean we're over a little over a month, true, but AEW has not been known to stretch out a winning match. The brass ring, the casino battle royal. They wait a couple weeks and that's it. They haven't been a month down the line type of thing, and so. But knowing the history and the slow build, that it could be Hangman's way to bypass the rankings and get that title shot. And so if this is the main event, I have a feeling it's Hangman. If this is not the main event, I don't think it's going to be Hangman.
Well, who do you think wins this match? If you were putting the odds on it, I mean, like, who do you think is the favorite walking into it? Who do you think comes out on top? That's
the Joker, because if you look at this, there's 6 guys right here, and all 6 have a pairing feud right now. Lance and Mox, Hardy and Orange, Andrade and Pac. Obviously you put all those guys in 3 corners fighting each other, and a typical in a feud that's going on. You leave the Joker kind of free reign, and then boom, they're gonna triumph. And so if you have Hangman or Leo Rush, like. To me, the winner will either get that title at Full Gear, which would be Hangman, or you would have someone that can be in just a defense for time being. You could even throw in, Frankie Kazarian, which would be kind of a surprise. But then,
amazing in a ladder match format.
Yeah, it would be a surprise. But then you would also keep the storyline going. Frankie the Elite Hunter trying to avenge Kenny Omega. So.
What would you do, Bonds?
Oh man,
who do you think is the favorite, and who do you think who would you book to be the Joker? There's no wrong answer.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't like. I kind of agree with SPD here. I don't really see any of these guys that are currently in it going in that title match, like a title match right now, just based on their storylines. I think it was a super good point. Like they are all paired up, and I think that the Joker is probably going to win because of that. Even it doesn't matter who it is. I think that Hangman would be interesting because you could have that for Full Gear. I think it's close enough to where that match could happen on pay-per-view. But again, they're also setting up a Bryan Danielson rematch with Kenny. So could be the Full Gear match. So again, it's kind of like if they're planning on having Danielson at Full Gear, then obviously you're not going to bring Hangman back to lose again before that or after, like they could even set that up too. But they, like you said, they do it quickly. I guess if we're not going to have Hangman, Miro would be awesome in this match. I think that it would be a blast, but it's tough. There's so many names that you could think of that are kind of in that same tier. Heck, you could throw in somebody even like Stinger in there just for fun, like get that name in there. Like I would love to see him in a kind of match like this where it's not away from Darby, something like that, where it's somebody random. And if it's like that, then maybe have Mox get another match. But it's one of those things where I guess the logic behind it is you don't want Jon Moxley to lose to Kenny again. I don't think you're going to have him win a match like a non-pay-per-view match, kind of like that. There's not really anybody that in this one. Like I would love to see Pac again with Kenny. We kind of got cheated out of that match with the triple threat. Ethan Page, yeah, I'd be cool with that. I'd love to see
rematch would be good as well.
Yeah,
Orange is not.
It's interesting you guys
high.
are bringing it up though. There would be a lot of rematches that could result in this.
Yeah,
I mean, Kenny's already beat Orange Cassidy and Pac. He's already beat Moxley. Kenny's already beat Archer before. So like these are all would be rematches.
And like let's be honest here, like Andrade would be interesting, but he hasn't really been presented that way. And Matt Hardy
You're putting heel versus heel
either.
And Hardy, same thing, heel versus heel.
I don't know. Has Andrade been really presented? I mean, I know Andrade is a heel, but I mean, he's kind of just a cocky dude. I don't think that he's done
It's
anything.
a little different. Yeah, it's not
different.
like Kenny level. He would be the baby face in a.
Be interesting. I don't know. I throw that. I know it's curveballs, but I think this ladder match. That's the reason why I wanted to talk about this one so much is because I think the in-ring action in that ladder match is going to be absolutely bonkers. You have some of the most intense, like, badass dudes on the roster, like Lance Archer and John Moxley, who just want to hurt people, and then you have guys like Pac and Andrade, who truly are incredible athletes, and
Matt Hardy, who's built ladder matches.
Matt Hardy, who's built ladder matches, and Orange Cassidy and Matt Hardy both know how to play a crowd pretty much as well as anybody in the business. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm really geeked about this match, and it's one of those ones that I'm really putting down on the calendar as something that I'm going to be looking forward to. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight's match. This show is because Thunder Rosa, Jade, and Nyla was one of those matches that I was looking forward to all week. Just a match that I had to talk about. So AEW does this a lot, man. There's a lot of talent on this roster. You guys talked about it at length in the discussion about this ladder matches. Man, there's so much talent that's emerged in this roster. And the Brian Cage, Ricky Starks feud, Bonds, you talked about that. Maybe that got put on the back burner a little bit because of the talent. If AEW introduces another talent, I know there's people out there who are wondering maybe a Bray Wyatt makes a return.
Here an Impact.
All I can say is there's so much talent on this roster that and the way it's booked, for the most part, you really can't argue with a lot of the results that we're seeing. This company is really hitting its stride. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and we're going to have the second anniversary of Dynamite next week, and it's just can't wait for that. And, we only had a couple matches announced for that. More is definitely going to be in store for that. I mean, we got the TNT title first defense right away. We got that amazing 4-on-4 match that's going to be coming up, the Elite versus, Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy. And we didn't even talk about it, which we will next week on Dynamite Download in depth, that Sheeta versus Deeb match, and then the ladder match. I mean, if we just get those 4 matches on Dynamite, we're all going to be happy campers, that's for sure. And so it's going to be incredible to rein things in, but we know there's going to be more in store for that second anniversary Dynamite show. But we're going to wrap things up on Rampage Rundown. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Some new faces. We appreciate you guys checking us out. We hope you guys subscribe and join us. We do our shows Wednesday nights after Dynamite Download, and Friday nights, Rampage Rundown. And we got some great stuff in store coming up very soon to our channels, with a couple upcoming interviews on the books and some special shows that we're going to have in mind, growing our second year here at Dynamite Download. So cheers to the weekend. Everyone stay safe. We appreciate the support, and we love you guys, and thanks for checking out Dynamite Download. And it's all about that boom.
Go ahead, SPD, play it again.
Don't forget to buckle up, everybody.
There you go. That's Bonzi.